So just to be sure, there are two parts. One is the slide title, which actually doesn't have the right title, and then I will be moving on. So hopefully you see my screen, and I'm moving to the first slide, which is around the agenda. Hopefully you see this slide, and if you don't see it, it's maybe that you may need to switch to another tab in the internet UI that you have for this tool, for this presentation. So I will cover today mainly two topics. One that I will go very quickly on, and another which will take more time with live demos, which always take time. So the first topic will be around last session's pointers, answers to questions, and news. I will really cover that in I would say 5 minutes, and then we will together go through the topic of reporting in ITAM and Flexera 1 and FlexNet Manager, which covers web reports, Cognos reports, which is a topic that deserves some focus and some knowledge sharing. The welcome dashboard and its customization, which is also a topic that we have released a while ago, but which is not completely adopted. We will also check, and discuss. We'll show you how to extract data for Power BI or business intelligence tool, for managing notifications, for instance. You will then have a quick overview on what we can do with custom SQL reports and creating custom SQL reporting objects. And finally, I will explain a little bit or give a view, a very short view, a very quick view on how reporting could evolve within the Flexera 1 platform. Let's move on. So the last session was about, I'm so sorry, I was maybe a little bit fast, but it was managing containers in ITAM. And this last session, so the pointer and the recording are in this link that you can follow the recording and the document in this link that I'm opening now. And so this is in the Community Hub. You have the events and webinar in the Community Hub, and you get the full details on the presentation, the link to the video, and some other links, and the document that was used for this presentation. There were a limited number of questions. One question was on the hubs, which I presented a little bit in the news or in the sort of what's coming next section. So there are 3 hubs that will be coming and that will be coming soon. One which is the SAM Optimization Hub, another that will be the SAM Operations Transparency Hub or SAM Operations Hub, and the last one which is the SAM Data Transparency Hub. And yes, each of them will be available on-premise. What we can expect, and that's something that we have felt for a while, the technology that supports Flexera 1 and software asset management will slowly evolve. So cloud customers, if we make the technology evolve on the reporting side, will take advantage of these evolutions, while existing customers will still have the widgets, everything I'm going to introduce today, which is widgets, which are Flexera native widgets or Cognos widgets or reports. The web reports, everything will still be here, including these hubs. But we can expect that new ways of building reports will happen in the future, and this part may be actually evolving in a different way between the cloud customers and the on-premise. There was another question, around containers, timeline for adding support for compliance calculation for containers. And the answer is IBM is covered. More vendors may be covered and will be covered in the future, depending on the roles, the use case, and what we start working on. So I would say the timeline depends a little bit on the type of activity we'll have and the use case. So I'm not committing on the timeline until I'm getting an actual vendor role and real case to work on. And the last question was on the Kubernetes. That was supported, and the question was on OpenShift. So the Kubernetes on Red Hat OpenShift 4 is supported. I'm not sure, if there were more questions behind this question, and the person who asked the question could come to me. But yeah, definitely, provided the Kubernetes implementation is using Red Hat OpenShift 4, that will be working, and the agent will be able to scan, or the scanner will be able to scan the platform and the containers and the links between containers, hosts, images, and the clusters. So 1.4, FlexNet Manager 1.4 is coming actually this week with the named user optimization report, and I will just show the report, but rush to the dashboarding and to the reporting topic. And as usual, I'm giving the pointer to this SAM Best Practice Hub, which contains all the released best practice and all the information that could be useful for you, such as the links to the various sessions we had in the SAM Best Practice webinars, the explanation on the coming hubs, the SAM Operation Transparency, the SAM Data Transparency, or the SAM Optimization Hub. Again, you will find all this information. This document keeps being updated every time there is new information. So I added the link to the latest hub, to the latest session recording, also some more information on the SAM Data Transparency Hub. And you get here information, links to existing solutions, explanations on what has been released. You will see a full description of the optimization reports. And every time you see, you will get the links to the community solutions. If you're on-premise, you can sort of anticipate what will be coming in the hubs with setting up some custom SQL reports. That's one topic for today, but I will be quite fast on this one. And really have a look to this document that hopefully will be useful in your day-to-day life with SAM and with FlexNet Manager and ITAM, Flexera 1 ITAM. Okay, so let's move on. The named user subscription optimization report is released this week with the 2022 1.4 version, which is coming this week in Europe and next week in the US, if I'm not wrong. And very quickly, this report will analyze for all your named user licenses, it will analyze user by user and give you transparency on what has been installed, which is consuming the license, what has been used and that is consuming the license, and a number of recommendations are calculated by the report based on some specific use case for Adobe and for Microsoft 365, knowing the sort of sequence of subscriptions. And each user actually will be assessed against the cheaper subscriptions by the report. And the report will compute some recommendations and will compute some saving and the total saving for the report. So as soon as it is on, if you're a cloud customer, you can download this or test this report. If you're on premise, the report has been actually added to the community, but not yet to the community hub. So expect, a new link, or you can look for it. If you type named user license consumption optimization report, you will find the document. And you can use the report in your on-premise just by setting up and running the SQL query that creates the report. Let's move on and spend most of the time on this topic around reporting. So reporting is a vast topic. I would say the most clever tool not showing the data the right way could be misinterpreted as useless. And this is very important to understand how with Flexera 1 ITAM or with FlexNet Manager, you can create reports. I will start with demoing a little bit how web reports work and show you a little bit what's happening behind the scenes. So I will do the demo on an on-premise version, but this is exactly what you can do with the cloud report, with the cloud version of ITAM. And I will then spend most of the time actually on Cognos, which today has a level of adoption which is not very high. And I will show you, little by little, and showing you the little tips and tricks, how to create a report, using historical data, how to create a report with drill down, or how to create a widget that you can show in the welcome dashboard. And the third topic will be actually how you can customize the what is shown as IT asset management dashboard, or what you have when you are on premise and just run FlexNet and access the welcome screen. Then, I will expand a little bit to a topic which is how we can extract data. There has been a new REST API released, I would say 20 days ago, or maybe no, 2 months ago. Actually, it was end of June, I think. And this REST API, REST API can allow you to extract any data from any report if you're a cloud customer. The SOAP API was doing the same thing and is also compatible for the on-premise customers that can be used. And I will also explain that you can use SQL directly to extract the data. I will then, quickly go through the custom SQL reports and how you can create custom SQL objects, knowing that a full session on how to customize ITAM and FlexNet Manager has been released and has been recorded. So for on-premise customer only, this topic is for on-premise only, you can access the detail and go back to the recording that I did at that time. It was back in March or in April. And then I will open a little bit to the technologies that we use for reporting and what IT visibility, for instance, is doing with regard to reporting using good data, the reporting tool. So I would say this is probably an approach which is not as sophisticated as Cognos. You will see Cognos is super powerful, but probably simpler to do simple widgets. So I will explain a little bit, what we have today and what could be a common reporting Flexera. Let's move on. The web reporting, I will start with that. That's I would say, the simplest topic. And actually, I have some slides, but I will spend most of the time in the UI. So I will directly go to my on-premise UI. But just to start with that, when you are on-premise, you have this management button that leads to the welcome dashboard. And you have this reports button that leads to the list of reports. And you have this analytics button, which will open Cognos that I don't have installed on my local system. So I will not use my local system for Cognos. And just to show if you are a cloud customer, but I guess you know how to do, because this is one of the first things, you can run Flexera 1, so I'm connecting. And the navigation to go to reports, there is a screenshot of that, is to go to reporting. Reporting, save reports, and saved views is actually, the ability that you have to save a screen once you have created the right columns you wanted to see, the right sequence of columns, and the right filter, or eventually advanced filter. You can save a view. You can save a report, which is actually leading you to a UI that is slightly different, but very close to what I'm going to demo. Going back to the on-premise instance that I have. And just, not to confuse you, but if I go back to management, people may not know, but when you save a view, typically you run your computer screen, you filter on VM hosts or on virtual machines that have no host, for instance. And when you save the view, it will finish, it will be stored in this management view UI that has a navigation very close to the report UI that technically actually is stored in the same tables. And that's how you can save your screens. So I'm moving on and showing how to create a report on the client. So you have typically you have a starting, a starting folder where you could find actually your reports. If you look for reports, across all folders, you could go on the root and type any, Windows Server. You can type any text that will show across all the children folders the reports that contain the data. And if you create a report, let's say, from the context of the licenses, which is quite empty today. Actually, I don't have any Windows Server report, but I have some other reports. If you create a new report, you can click on plus to create a report. And I will insist a little bit on the fact that you have a number of objects that you see here. And the best practice, let's say I want to show the, Oracle database installations that are on which VMs or which physical computers, and which are the hosts and which are the clusters, which is a big topic with Oracle. I will show you that it's always better to start from the lowest object, I would say the most granular object. And if you want to create, let's say, a report showing installed applications, you will be able to, first, I will show you how to filter based on the product. For instance, the product will be Oracle database. And if you go here, this is the installation object. There are not so many attributes for this object. And you can see that from the initial object, which is the installation object, you have a number of directly linked objects that you can pick up. So typically, I will pick up in the application, I will pick up the product, which could be useful to filter. This is the most useful filter you could think of. And I will, let's say, add the publisher, which is actually already here. Publisher is not typically an installation attribute in the database, at least. This is more an attribute of the applications the installation is linked to. However, in the reporting objects, we show some, I would say, remote objects to make the creation of the report faster and easier. And what I wanted to show you, the first thing I wanted to show you that you can, of course, pick up your columns on the right part. But also, if you want to take some links, and if you want to go, and here, the goal of this report will be to show the installed Oracle database, or show which is the computer, of course, what is eventually the host, what is the cluster, and the best way to do that is actually to use this part of the report builder, which is showing the linked objects. And when I was talking about starting from the most granular object, installation, then computer, then host, then cluster, I wanted to insist on the fact that you could eventually have some one-end links. So you could imagine you start from installation. I've seen that with customers sometimes. You start from the installation, you find the computer, and you will see that once you have picked up the computer, you have the link to installations, which is a one-end link. And then you could absolutely mess up your report, which means that you could have, you start with filtering on Oracle database, but then you find a computer, and because you went through this link, which is leading to all the installations of the computer, your report will have no meaning, will not be meaningful. So very importantly, use the linked objects when they are exposed. Use the related objects which are not going through the links in the database, and use the link to jump from an object installation to inventory device wisely, paying attention not to use one-end links, and that will work fine. And what else did I want to show you? So if I'm showing the preview here, you will see that we have two times the column of the computer. The inventory device name is here, and this is the one I got from the installed software or installation object. And you see this one, which is way more good because I can drill down into it. So an important thing to keep in mind when you build a report, if you want some drill down mechanism, I will go back to here. So here I can jump to my inventory device detail. If you want some drill down mechanism, always think about catching the field from the device, from the link device. So here what we have is basically a field value, it's a string. Well, here we have the main item or the main attribute of the inventory device, which is showing nicely as a link in the report. That was my little first thing. And let's imagine now on this inventory device, I want to know, let's say, the number of cores, which for Oracle, again, has a big importance. I will add the cores here. And what I did, I deleted actually I deleted the computer name that was here because I don't want to see it twice in my report. Let's keep moving on. I want then to know the host of the computer, if it's a VM. So here, no choice. I have to go through the virtual machine link, which actually, has no big interest. The name is actually the same name as the computer. So here, what I could do is just, take that away and go to the next link. So I will have sort of an empty link to the virtual machine table, but it doesn't matter because I'm not interested in getting more data in this table. I'm interested in catching the host of the VM, if there is one, or the cluster. So that's why, here I've taken it away. Let's say I still want to see something that could be interesting. Hosted in. Is it a cloud machine or not? Why not? It could be interesting. And, the next step, well, I could take also the VM type, virtual machine type. It could be useful. And finally, you see, I'm going from installation to computer to virtual machine, but I would say we're at the same level here. Virtual machine are just, additional attributes of a computer. But then I'm going to go up to the host. So I'm adding the host here. And here, I want to add, for instance, the number of cores. Again and again, that's an important topic. So I could take the number of cores. I could take eventually the operating system. So you see here, these are all the attributes of a computer, but we are now not on the starting point, which was a computer which had the installation for the report, but we are now on the host of the computer, and I could eventually take the operating system that has an importance for, let's say, soft partitioning or hard partitioning. So I'm going down the list and just catching the operating system. Okay, so now I have my installed application, the linked to the application name and to the product. I know the inventory device. I know I go through the virtual machine to catch the host. And finally, I want to catch the cluster. This is the last thing I wanted to catch. And I don't see cluster here. It could eventually be an attribute of the cluster, of the host. If we had, let's say, denormalized the link to the cluster that I'm putting as an attribute. This is not the case. So here, I'm going to catch clusters. Not sure why there is a S here, because there is actually a host as a unique cluster. So I'm adding the cluster, and here you have the cluster name. Okay, and now I'm going to preview and filter the report. So what ITAM or FlexNet does in the backend, it's catching it's catching the data, and it's catching the top 1,000 first record, just so that you get a feeling on what you have in your report. And then it can be a little bit painful. You can start ordering your report. So typically, you do application name, product, version. I could have put edition, so I could go back and catch the edition field, or I'm glad with that. Virtual machine ID was not very interesting, so I'm going to go back to the virtual machine to take away the ID. And that's an important thing, actually. Each ID is present in the reporting object. And that's very interesting when we will see later that you can export the data using the REST API. The best matching key when you want to do queries outside of your ITAM tool in, let's say, a Power BI database is, of course, the ID of the records within the tables. So that's interesting to know that the ID data is present in the report And actually, that's interesting. You know, I did not intentionally put the ID, but I still have it. Never mind. It will not prevent me from creating the report, but I'm not, you know, super interested in seeing the virtual machine ID. Just checking one thing. Okay. Taking it away, and let's move on. But you see that you can change your report by selecting the object, main object, and you see that this right part is constantly refreshed to show you the, I would say, level 1 linked object, or you could eventually here, you know, catch the links. So I'm going back to the report, and I will be fast. You know, I will, let's say, hide this virtual machine ID that honestly I didn't want to see. So that's one option. You can hide the columns, and you can finish by creating a report. Let's say you want to put everything related to the host computer is here. That's fine. Cluster is the last object. It could be actually the first if you wanted to do the cluster host VM reporting. And then I'm just going to filter on Oracle database. Oracle database. So you need to make an exact match, the best way of filtering the data. And you see here, I have 79 rows. Great. I'm going to one thing that you could do in such a report is use an advanced filtering. I could do OR condition. That's what I wanted to do. So the operating system, let's say, contains ESX. That's where I got the issue. ESX or actually. Just to show you, you can have some AND and OR conditions, or you could add a group. That's what I wanted to do, and with the OR here. So just very quickly, you could say, no, the application is Oracle equals Oracle database, and the, let's say, host operating system is contains ESX, or the operating system contains, let's say, Windows. Okay, so just to show you that we can have advanced filter. In that case, you know, I don't want to have this type of filter, and here this is the end. So I have this condition and this or this condition. And if you click OK, of course it reduces the list, and you can you know, edit the advanced filter and take it away. So that was a quick demo on the advanced filter. Here we go. I've just gone back to Oracle database as a product. Okay, and then now I'm going to save the report. And you have a choice to make the report public or private. And Oracle database installations. So, and that's I will, let's say this will be an inventory report. And I'm saving the report. It's good to put a prefix of your initials, typically, so that people know who has created the report. It's good eventually to put a comment that will describe what the report does. But once you have the report, you know, you can run the report, and you see, because I picked up in the linked object the primary fields, I can now easily navigate through the various records. the drill down is zeroed. And of course, just like a screen, you can, let's say, group by cluster, group by, let's say, host name, which is another of the fields, and you start getting the navigation that will show you these things. So once you have the report, you can reset the report if you want to make it flat, and if you change the group by or even the list of columns, the next time you run the report, your preference will be added. And you can, you have some filters that you can add in addition to the out-of-the-box filters or to the search that you can apply. I did not insist on that, but when you create the report, you have a little flag that says index this column. So if you type here assis, for instance, which I've seen somewhere, the report will check across columns, at least each of the columns that has a flag, it will check the data. Okay, so I will not spend forever on this report, but how you can create a report, but this is quite powerful, and really, this is important to not be lost and have in mind a little bit the database schema, so that you start from an object and go to the linked object the right way, and don't do some sort of, I would say random links that could lead to a lot of data. Very important thing, if you run a report without a filter, and if you see that you have exactly 1 million rows here, typically if you run a report on all installed applications, all installations, you should be extremely careful, because it means that you got a subset of the, let's say, 5 million records here. So then if you filter again, let's say, and say, oh yes, actually I just wanted to focus on, let's say, version 10, you will get a big issue, which is that the 1 million record that you have here, the next time you run the report, you may be on another set of 1 million records. So if you filter on version 10, you may have 3 records. So the big advice here is that to avoid reaching this 1 million limit, you type here, before, so 10G, let's say. Not sure if the column is indexed, but if you run the report and put the filter before running the report, you are sure that even if there were, let's say, 5 million records, this sub-filtering will take the, let's say, 5 or 500,000 of the 5 million which were matching this filter. So that's very interesting for you to keep that in mind, that you should be careful with this 1 million limit. Okay. I'm going to move forward and just show you a little bit what happens behind the scene, and then I will rush to Cognos, which is a bigger topic. So, so the reports are saved in a table, which is called comprehensive search, which is more relevant for people who are on-premise, who can access the database. And I just wanted to show you, how a report is structured. So this is the last of the list. Just created it. And you see that you have a report when you create it. This is it, which has a search name, easy. It has a search SQL. So a SQL query, a big SQL query got generated when I put the objects together and the filters. And then there are some more technical fields which are showing, the structure, the search mapping particularly, which is showing the structure of the report. And for each column, you have a name. You have the fact that it's hidden or shown. And here, the software title ID, which is always in the report, is actually hidden. And then you get, for each column, if it is, indexed, showing grid true, field name, order. So here, this is where you have the fact that you want to make the column used by the search or not. Okay, so just and just to tell you, the REST API that we have, what does it do? The REST API that got implemented in June. For each report you created yourself in the web UI, because we can expect exactly how it is formatted, the REST API will check this query, will run it, will check the list of columns, and will format the query and the JSON output according to the data which is collected from the query, which is very, very flexible. So I think we have gone through the full topics for the sub reports, for the web reports. Let's move on now to the topic of Cognos. Knowing that Cognos is both, very powerful and not used a lot, and I would say a little bit complex to use. I agree. I feel sometimes more comfortable creating a SQL report than creating a Cognos report. So that's a fact. So I will show you on our cloud instance how to create a number of reports. And hopefully everything will be fine, but you will see that's how it goes. So let's go to my analytics home. And here, when I'm running that, it's actually launching the IBM Cognos UI, which is every customer in the world has on-premise or cloud has Cognos coming as a reporting tool along with the ITAM application event. And Cognos is organized by folders. I've created a number of test reports. I will delete some. And when you want to create a new report, so basically there are two big types of things. You have reports and you have dashboards. And stories, actually, I'm not even sure. I've never created a story. So if you want to create a new report, I will show you how to create reports. And you will see this is a little bit cumbersome, a little bit, I would say, sophisticated. But I will go slowly. And hopefully, by watching this video and the detailed slide that will come out of it, you will be able to do the same. Because in the end, this is not so complex. The most important is to understand which path you need to take. Let's create a report. So far, so good. I'm taking a blank template. That's fine. And then you see, that's where the complexity starts. You need to pick up what type of report you want to do. And the first one I will show you uses some historical data. So you will see, purchased, consumed, a balance month by month. So a cross tab is typically the type of report that allows to mix, I would say, 3 dimensions or multiple items with a time dimension. Here we go. Let's call it, licenses over time. And there is a query. You will see that that's important, that you could rename or not. Let's call that query licenses. And once you have created that, the UI shows you, the report. So you have, several ways of seeing a page, either by the design, which is what we're seeing here, or the preview. I have no data yet, so I will not run the preview. Otherwise, I will be a little bit lost. And on the left side, you have multiple things. The data you see here, it's right now it's empty, and you have, eventually so a UI to work on the layout. You have the page, so you can create a report with multiple pages. I will start simple. And you have the query, which right now has nothing, because I've not picked up any field from the source. I have no source yet. So let's start with picking up the source, which is the data. And here, that's one more complexity. You can be a little bit lost because you see a number of folders which show some Cognos as some sort of universes with some metadata which has the dimensions and the links between the tables already prepared. And I will start with something called the data warehouse. So we are constantly storing data for installed applications and license consumption in the data warehouse. And then the fact that I can click on open tells me, yes, you can start and get the data source. And you see here, we get 2 dimensions, 2 types of information: installation analysis and consumption analysis. And here I'm going to create a report, which is quite interesting. It shows the consumption for each license over the time by location. So it's sort of a sub-enterprise consumption report that shows, month per month, the data, and that allows to understand the evolution, the trend. Yeah, and I will start with just a table, not a chart. So here, I'm going to go. So I have my data here. That's cool. And I'm going to build the page. So if I go back to the page design, and I'm going to build the page. So here, what I will do is take so the first dimension. I want to see the licenses. And you see here, that that's, again, a little bit confusing. And I'm sure people who are very good in data cubes won't be lost. But here, you have sort of a collection. And then if you want to show license per license, you can take here the license node. You put it here, which is, I want to see rows by license. Okay, good. And then you say, I would like to understand the license consumption by cost center. And here, there are two things about locations. Sorry. There are two things about locations. There is either the location of the license, which is the what you see in the ownership tab, which is not interesting. But there is the location of the consumption, which is way more interesting because it is how you can understand who consumes what and who uses what. So here, I'm going to add the location, let's say level 2, so that's why it's complex, because the data is hierarchical. But I would say, I will take the level 2 location, and I will put it here. And where you put your cursor has an importance. Okay, good. You see that each license will have a first row, and we have a collection of rows related to the location where the consumption happened. So far, so good. Next step is to understand, you want to see the data by month. So here you will see, a point in time. And you see that we stack actually the data in the data warehouse month by month. And if I say, I want to see the data by month, that's good. See now your licenses by location, level 2. You don't want to show all the levels of locations. So it's rolling up the data, basically. And month by month. And finally, what I will want to do is show the consumption, the purchase, and the available licenses. And here, this is what is called consumption fact. That's why, we are not just accessing the database. I will show you another report where we directly access the database, which is called operational objects. Here, we are accessing data which has been summarized, stored in the data warehouse, and which has this time dimension and these specific facts that have been stored over the time. And I will start with purchase. And you see here, max quantities, because along the month, there are variations day per day. So there is a time for storing a unique value, and the choice has been made to do the max quantity. There is a need to make a choice. And here you see, if you go below month, you get month by month, the purchase. Let's take the month per month they consumed. There we go. And here, I need to go on the right. Hopefully, that's where, I could mess up my demo. It's good. So here, I have purchased, consumed month by month. And finally, I will take the shortfall availability, knowing that it will not be exactly, purchase minus consumed. Here we go. So you see, so far, so good. I have a view. And I'm going to start, checking, is my data relevant? Is it nonsense? So I will take the page preview. And here, the report is run against the database. It can take a little bit of time. And hopefully, we see something that makes sense, which is entities, which is licenses. I could add eventually the vendor for the license. And we see another thing, which is a little bit a pain. We see always, all the level 2 installations, but even when it's completely empty. So once you're here, if you click on the top left part, you have the ability to filter records. And or you have the ability to not show nulls. So here, I could say, okay, so there is a step where I can avoid showing nulls, which I may not do here. Okay, so I will not insist too much on it, but in the multiple options you have when you create a report, you can actually, avoid showing nulls. No suppression, suppress rows and columns. So this is called suppression actually. And I would say suppress rows only, which means if there is no data in a row, APAC Microsoft 365 2016 will disappear because there was no data in my historical information. So the report knows now that you see it disappeared. It will show only when there is data, which is a way of making the report easier to digest. So if I go back here, and that's one of the complexity. So there are many contextual menus, and you could get lost. Okay, so I'm glad I could add a filter, let's say. So I'm going to add the publisher to this report, and I'm going to add the publisher, as an attribute before the license. Or let's put it after the license. And here, so we'll see hopefully Microsoft. I could add a filter to the list of licenses I'm going to display. And I will go back. So let's set the publisher to be added. And I will be able then to add a filter, which is, let's say, on the publisher name. Let's wait a little bit. Okay. So let's wait a little bit. I will actually go back to the design side. And the publisher is here. Eventually, I could move the publisher before the license. Okay. And let's move on. So the publisher is here, and then and that was maybe a better sequence, publisher, license, location. And then what you can do is filter. You can edit the filter. And I will create a new filter on the publisher. There we go. And I say publisher is Microsoft. Searching. There we go. I'm adding that. Let's add corporation. And now the data, if I run the report in the preview, the report is now focused only on the, let's say, Oracle licenses over time, month by month, with purchase, consumed, and it doesn't show the empty rows. So that's what I wanted to show you, which concludes, the very first report. Hopefully, it makes sense to you, and I'm going to set the report. And this report I will put in my personal content. I will call that, Microsoft licenses consumption over time. And let me tell you, I will go beyond. I was expecting this call to be long. I will go beyond the hour, and sorry for that. Microsoft license consumption over time. Okay, so that's the first report. And just to show you, this last part, if I go to the edition, let's say, and on the left part of the report, if I edit the report, you see that there is the data. We have some layout settings, some pages, and the query. And you see, as long as you add more data, the query will be exposed as data items. And just one thing that you could do also is pick up the software license IDs, again, in the goal of joining the data or doing more complex things. So if you go to the license, and eventually, so you could add more data that you eventually don't expose in the report, but that could be used for technical queries. And that's what I'm going to do for the next report. Okay, so I created my first report, and what I want to do now is create a new report. And I will show you how to make a drill down from a report to another. So again, let's start from a blank report. Let's take a visualization. And here, that's one of more of these little bit cumbersome things. I will take a legacy visualization, which allows to do some. Okay, so there is no, sorry, it's a chart. I will take a chart that allows to do more things when passing data for the drill downs. So let's take a donut, donut, and have now this empty thing. And I'm going to create and take the data, no longer from the data warehouse. What I want to do is a report that shows me the current license, the current applications with the numbers, and drill down to the list of deployed applications. And I will take for this the Flexera Manager platform reports and dashboards universe. So now I'm opening this, and you see that that's where it's complex. The operational objects are directly reading in the database. You can query the inside applications, and I created a report in preparation of this. Or you can create, the, I would say, software lab, which is sort of summarizing the data, and I will focus on the consumption data. And that's very simple. What I want to do is show the applications which have been installed, and I will show, these applications, consumption, software lab. Okay, so I will show the consumptions, the installations, and I will take the application name. The pie slices will be my application names. So far, so good. I will take the count, which is the number of installations, install counts, the values. Okay, and I will go back to this query part. And actually, I don't want to show the publisher of the product, but I want to have this, information used for the filtering, for instance. And here you see, I go back to the data, and I can say, let's take the application, publisher, sorry, and the product. So if I go back to my page, okay, so if I go back to the page, the report will contain I need to go back to the page design. Okay. So I will preview the report to see the data. And then I will go back to the design. And that's one of the pains. Sometimes you don't get the view of what you are working on. So I'm going to go back to the design. Okay, so we have, it's not very happy because I cancel. So you see the page design, again, the UI for designing the page. And I'm going now to filter. Insert filter, edit filters. And you see that the product, for instance, will be suggested. And I will filter on Office. So I want to show the list of Office counts. And then I will do a drill down on the Office details. So let's let the, and I'm going to type Office. I'm searching. And I'm picking up Office. I'm going to add another product, another filter, which is on the publisher. And I will just to double make sure that I'm just counting Office for Microsoft. don't think there is any other application called Office, but I'm going to add Microsoft as a filter. Okay, and now, there we go. And now you see that I can run a preview of the report, and you will see something ugly, telling you now. The labels, the legend will show every possible version of Office, which is not very beautiful because I just wanted to show the ones which are actually installed. And here again, that's where you can have this, suppress. You can suppress categories. So you can basically, not show the, don't show the nulls, and categories only, suppress. So I will suppress the categories, series actually. Okay, and you see here, the data that was exposed was actually a subset of all the Office applications, but the legend was showing everything. So now there are multiple ways of doing that, but by suppress and don't show null, it's a way of making sure that the data is here. And just to the query, which is here, you see that the query is now excluding the empty data. So that's good. We have now a report. I'm going to save this as Office installations, Office install applications. Sorry. And then the goal will be to do a drill down on another report. Installed applications. There we go. I will put that in my. Okay. And I have another report which exists in this folder, which is called, the Microsoft commercial installations. And let me show you what it looks like. So you can edit this report. It's a very simple report that shows a flat list of applications on the computers. So it is reading from the operational data. It's reading from these, installations. That's simple. And one little trick that has been done is that there is a filter which has, it's actually a filter by parameter. So it's asking, what is the title ID? And the title ID is actually, the subtitle ID. So I've created a report, a first report, which is showing the flat list of applications. I've restricted it a little bit, and it has one thing that says, what is the ID? So if I was running this report, and how you create, a filter is quite simple. You can, you could, for instance, create a filter, and then I did a drag and drop of subtitle ID, and I just put, question mark, title ID, question mark, which is a way of having a pop-up. So if you run this report, it's perfectly useless because it shows you, it asks you first, give me an ID. You don't know the IDs. However, what we're going to do now is the other report is going to pass the subtitle ID to this one. So I'm closing the report. And I'm going back to, oops, I have to go back to my dashboard. Go back to the Analytics home. And I will open the report that I just created, which is here. And you will see that there is something called, so it's called Office installed applications, the one I just created. Go. And if I edit this one, I go back to the modification view, and let's go to the page design. And what we see in the query is that there is no software title ID here. So I'm going to add, the software title ID as an additional field. So I'm going to take it from here. And we see that in the software OLAP, which is the one I used, there is this installation. And you see that, we have the software title and details. And you see the software title ID. So what I want to do is pass, the software title ID, which is unique per row. I want to pass it to the flat report that will be used afterwards. So now I've added that. It doesn't change at all my report. I go back to the report. We see here that it has no special data. And I'm going to work on something which is here. I'm sure you will watch this video a number of times. And there is something called drill-through definitions. So basically, how do I move from this Office data, or Office installed applications, to the list of Office for each title I'm clicking on? And so I'm clicking here. And I can create what is called, a drill-through definition. And the drill-through definition says, okay, what is the target report you want to open? And this is my Microsoft commercial installation, the report I was showing you. And then, it says, what do you want to do? I want to do the default, actually. And in the parameters, here, it's reading the target report, and it finds this parameter, which is the title ID I was showing you. So I'm going to pass item value. It says, okay, what do you want to pass? I want to pass the software title ID. Okay. And, okay. And we are going to run this report. So I'm going to save it again. And let's run the report. And we will see that it's not completely finished, but we're nearly here. The report runs. It looks for, the Office installed applications and the counts. Here we go. And if I click here, nothing happens. So eventually here, I could use this drill-through definition. And here, hopefully, it runs the report. Actually, it asks for the software title ID. So we need to do two more things. And that's really what you will need to do if you want to do a report with drill down. So if I click on the application here, I click on the application. You have this button that will show the details. And one thing is called properties. So there is what you see, which is the application name. But behind the scene, I want actually also the software title ID to be passed. Okay, so the application, when I click on it, will say, oh, yes, I'm Office 2016 professional, but I'm linking to the software title ID. So that's the first thing I wanted to do. And the second thing I wanted to do that nobody can guess, but that we need to do, if you go on the report, there is bursting is something else. It's about sending emails. There is this, run with full interactivity. And here you don't want, you to say, show me the link. So if you click on no for this one, save again my report. I can now run the report. And what will happen is, it will do the first report, which is collecting the counts for Office professional or for Office installations. And here, if I click here, it will actually know which is the software title ID behind the scene. So if I click here, it will directly open the report behind the scene because of two things. It knows which software title ID to run, and it doesn't have this option that says, click so that the drill down works. I would expect that by default, drill down would just be by default allowed. But this is unfortunately not the case. So here, the second report is running and is looking for any installation of, the Office 2010 Professional Plus applications. So hopefully it makes sense. We have two reports which are now chained with the drill-through behavior, and that's no, we have managed what we wanted to do, which is chaining two reports together. Now there is the last step, last thing I wanted to show you, which is okay. So the last thing I wanted to show you is that when you create a report, you can actually show it in so if I go back to ITAM, and if I go back to the dashboard ITAM and IT Asset Management, this is basically the welcome dashboard that you have when you open the on-premise version. And that's something that has been added a while ago in 2020, not so long time ago, but 2020 R1. You can now actually customize what you see in the welcome dashboard. That's interesting. You can take away some things. I don't want to show these ones. Okay, I will remove this one, and I will, remove it, taking it away. One thing you can do with this welcome dashboard customization is you can add widgets to your dashboard. So this is your personal dashboard. And here, if you click here, you have the flat list of all the widgets that exist today that we have created, which are sometimes, some Flexera widget, FNMS, I would say hard-coded widget, or sometimes some analytics widgets, which are created in Cognos. And what you can do with any report or widget you create in Cognos, so you can first, add the widget in the list. That's interesting. Picking up, random one. I'm sure I already have it because I played a lot with that. It will be somewhere. I can then, move the widget in the position I want. Okay, that's easy. And here you have this button, which is Manage Custom Widgets, where you can actually, either create a new analytics widget or delete an analytics widget. And what people don't know a lot is that if you are on Cognos, if you go to the home, basically I'm no longer editing a report. I'm going to my home. I love this Microsoft Office installations, which is this one, install applications. What you can do is, click on this embed. You have a little piece of HTML. You copy it. You go back to the main screen where you wanted to create a new analytics widget. You give it a name, Office Apps, say Install Office Apps for demo. You paste what you had. You eventually influence the dimensions. You create it. And then you can, add this new widget to so that there is quite a good documentation on that, but you can now add the widget because it's in the list. I will find it quickly. Office. There is this installed Office apps for demo. Here we go. And now you can add to the dashboard this new widget. So one thing we don't have is the drill down. Once it's here, you cannot actually, have the drill down in the widget. But you see, your widget has been created in Cognos. The global dashboard knows where it is, and you can do that with anything. And of course, the Cognos data is always filtered to your own access restriction. We have this applied. The user profile is applied to the Cognos reports. And if I was just able to see, let's say EMEA data, I would just see my subpart. And you can, extend the widget. And then there are, templates. So you can actually, create some templates, and people will be able, when they connect, to pick up one of the templates you have created. So there is a real, work on thinking about the user personas and so on. But you can actually create templates and use them and make them available to users with widget that very simply can be created from your existing Cognos reports. So hopefully you got the full picture. That's what I wanted to show you on Cognos. And sorry, I'm really going over, but if you can't stay, you will be able to check the video. And if I go next, creating a SQL report on premise can be done very simply. I've gone through that in the previous session that was on customizations. So basically, you create a stored procedure here with whatever code you want. It could be 5 lines or 500 lines. And you create a report here, which is actually called the view. And we have this stored procedure that allows to create a new view, just like you do when you create the reports from the web client. And in a minute, you can create a custom report, knowing that this is at your risk. The SQL query is at your risk. This is custom. This is not Flexera, but this is something that has been massively used in the community. A lot of reports have been published, and now they are getting productized. And when we productize a complex report, this is actually the same type of approach. We create a stored procedure, and we have a report coding this stored procedure. So that's what I wanted to show. You can go one step further, and that again, in this customization in ITAM and FlexNet Manager session, you can create a new object that will be displayed in your reporting, which actually you can create a little bit a tricky way, but I've provided some examples in the previous session. And you can even create, this was an attribute in the report, the days since last inventory, for instance, that is a numerical value. But you can even, create a new object, and this is more complex, but just to show that how far you can go, I provided examples in this previous session. The last thing I wanted to show, if I go back to the data, we have 2 more, but that will be fast. The web reports, or the Cognos reports, or the Flexera widgets. We have a number of widgets that we have in FlexNet Manager. When you go to the welcome screen, everything you see actually, or a number of what you see is custom widgets, which are Flexera defined in FlexNet Manager or in ITAM. Of course, you may want to have a third-party tool like Power BI doing data, doing reporting, and eventually doing reporting with other sources, and joining data with between ITAM and other sources. And or you may want to do notifications that eventually will send an email to people based on a technical rule. And I just wanted to insist on the fact that we have a new REST API. So just to show, I've done a number of tests, but there is this document that has been actually shared in the community. If I go here, if I go to the community, if I show the new REST API, okay. There is a document that shows, new generic REST API. And you will see there is an article that shows how to query this REST API. I will not show that in detail. This is in this document. This document, the new generic REST API, and there is a PowerShell, which I have on my machine. And if I run the PowerShell, I will be asked, a region, so US1, EMEA 2. I will be asked a second thing, which is the organization ID, which is what you see when you are on the FlexNet Manager UI. This is that. Okay. And I will be asked, I'm putting dummy data because I don't have the time so much. You are asked for a refresh token, and here, you can generate actually the refresh token based on your profile. From this, user settings. And here you see API credentials, and you can create API refresh token. This token is an encrypted string. I will not show it. That is specific to you, and that gives you the access rights on the tenant. You have a right to access. So this is for cloud customers only, of course. And you put this refresh token, and the REST API will run and generate in this sample, a flat file. So it's taking the JSON format and making it flat. And it is creating, a report output, which is nothing else than, I did a very simple report, but the output will be actually the exact result of the web report you created. So typically, you can create a number of reports which are set for Power BI. You can schedule a PowerShell to query once a week these reports and put the data in a data lake. And then you could have Power BI doing SQL queries to join the data with ITAM, eventually ServiceNow if you have other data that you want to join to that, or to a CMDB. And the technology or the data which is extracted through the REST API can be used for another tool, or eventually by a tool that can send emails attaching reports, knowing that if you're on-premise, Cognos can do that, or SQL Server reporting services, for instance, can do that. There are many tools where you can actually set up what to do. It could be a SQL query directly, or it could be a REST API call or a SOAP API call, and this data will be then exported and made available to other entities. Okay, and the very last item I wanted to discuss, I would say quickly, is where are we going? Because Flexera One is an overall platform, and I just wanted to show you a very dashboard. So if you go to the dashboard of IT Visibility, there is a new, I would say a new engine, which is maybe less powerful but more flexible or easier than Cognos, where you can actually, create a dashboard. This is called good data, and the idea that you have a simple UI to create new reports. And I'm everything but a big expert on that, but you have a data explorer that allows to create. You see, this is quite intuitive, and you can, from the hardware inventory, for instance, and I'm sure the machine name, for instance, you could put a list of machine names. You could say, show me the, not the evidence name because it will multiply the domain, for instance. So this report allows to this tool allows to build a report quickly with drag and drop build filters, and I'm doing a do me demo here, but and you can decide to do by let's say a table, very simple. Or by tree maps. So you can basically add the data in a way that is supported, of course, by the tool, contrary to what I'm doing, and you will get quickly the information. So, for instance, if I want to add the domain as a row, here we go. So, I'm adding a machine domain name. But I'm sure, then you can pivot the data based on the computer model, and then you could eventually display by column chart. Okay, so I'm definitely, so there are no domains maybe in this report, but there is a new, basically a new reporting engine that allows to do simple dashboarding, and the idea that Flexera One has some data related to IT visibility, which will be soon common with ITAM. Computer will be the same record in IT Visibility and ITAM, will have the same ID. And this data will be able to be joined. Let's say if you want to have a report soon that says, show me the the application end of life date for my consume licenses on this device, you could soon, have some cross-domain reports that could include, querying some cloud data. If we have information on the Azure instances, which is coming from cloud, from TCO, or some very specific information or more detailed information coming from the IT visibility data, this central reporting tool, good data, will be able to join the data and use what is in the end in a database in each tool, and sometimes shared, and will allow to do some cross information. Okay, so I will not take I will not take more time, more of your time. A question I got was, is good data replacing Cognos? Not at this stage. I would say Cognos is a sophisticated reporting tool that allows to report on ITAM data in a very deep way. There may be, I would say, shortcuts to lighter reporting. And that's where we are today for the common reporting within Flexera. Okay, thanks for your time, and hope I did not take too much of your time, but that was a pleasure to spend this hour with you, and you will be able to find the recording very soon. Thank you. Goodbye.